Also on the phone call with us is Dr. Hector Ocaranza, and also available to help answer questions is Assistant Fire Chief Jorge Rodriguez and City Attorney Carla Neiman. And Mayor, I will ask you to start us off, please.
All right. On behalf of the judge, we both thank you for joining us today. We have a number of things to talk about. The first thing I want to do is give you the statistics, and you'll want more data, I'm sure, from Dr. Ocaranza. But as of today, we have 857 positives. We're up 28. We have 32 in the hospital. We have 19 in ICU. We have 11 on ventilators, and I'm very saddened to say we have 2 more deaths. Brings us up to 14. One is a male in his 50s, and the other is a female in her 70s, and both had underlying issues. You know, this is what the judge and I have been debating and working with from day one. We're dealing with the physical health, the mental health, and our financial health in our community. Well, the city and the county are issuing new directives, a new directive and order pursuant to our disaster declaration authority. As you know, the county and the city have been in total parallel sync on this. This new directive order will be in compliance with the governor's executive orders of April the 27th and will provide additional guidance for our community. The paramount importance is the health and safety of our community. You know, this is an imperfect balancing act between 2 tough choices: the health, our personal public health, and our economy, and both are suffering. In accordance with the governor's new executive orders and the governor's report to Open Texas, effective Friday, there will no longer be a stay-home, work smart directive or a stay-at-home order in El Paso. Consistent with state and national recommendations, El Pasoans are strongly urged to stay home if they can and continue to exercise social distancing, proper hygiene, and the use of face coverings. Social gatherings are continued to be strongly discouraged. People who are over 65 or considered part of a vulnerable population are strongly encouraged to continue to remain at home and limit contact as much as possible with persons from outside their homes. Essential businesses which have been operating will be allowed to continue to operate with the existing safety protocols that are already in place. Retail to-go businesses which have been operating will be allowed to continue to operate with the safety protocols already in place. And effective Friday at 12:01 a.m., additional businesses, which includes these retail businesses, will be allowed to open with certain restrictions. And those businesses include restaurants for in-dining, the retail stores, malls, and movie theaters. These businesses will be allowed to operate at a 25% capacity only. And the governor said he will re-review these restrictions in 2 weeks on May the 14th. These businesses must operate with the same safety protocols in place for essential businesses and the retail to-go businesses. Face coverings are required for all employees while working at essential businesses. Retail to-go operations, or the new businesses allowed to operate, are at 25% capacity. The following businesses are not included and must remain closed. That's nail and hair salons, bars, gyms, summer camps, bowling alleys, arcades, other things. You can read the order for clarification. Golf courses and tennis courts are open, and fishing will be allowed with safety protocols in place. The City of El Paso's parks remain closed except for walking on designated walking paths. Public park playgrounds and basketball courts will remain closed. Playgrounds will remain closed. Tennis courts at private facilities will be utilized with the following guidance, following the guidance as described in the order, and museums and libraries will remain closed. There's a lot of moving targets here that the governor set up, and I'll let the judge finish what I'm trying to say. Is that we got to start here, and he said basically, I'm going to re-review based on medical protocols, the advice of the community, and the advice of physicians and the medical experts, where we are in 2 weeks. If there is a significant spike in hospitalizations, ICUs, et cetera, then he will reassess. So each of us are going to determine our own outcomes out of this by how we comport ourselves given this pandemic and the way this virus is transmitted. So irrespective of the fact that we are starting to open, it is imperative that we all abide by the social distancing, the wearing of face covering, and the washing of hands, and the basic things that we talk about, and no large gatherings. So let me turn it over to Judge Samaniego, and then we'll go into Dr. Ocaranza. You're muted, Judge.
Mayor, thank you very much, and I'd like to reinforce the collaboration between the city and the county that has been noticed by a lot of people, and see that as one of our strengths. I think the most important thing here is that we are prudent, that we take into consideration, our uniqueness of our community, the dynamics that we have both with Mexico, Doña Ana County, and what does that mean to each and every one of us. We are not saying that you have to do all of these things. The governor is not saying that we have to go out. He wants us to be prudent. He wants us to look at safety, being able to feel secure, making sure we don't put any employees in a predicament because we're asking them to go back to work. And so the initial thing here is we are obviously going to adhere to the governor's order and be as prudent as possible as we move forward. Our approach has to be different. Our approach has to take into consideration our community, and you as individuals have to take into consideration your own situation. For example, if you have someone who is vulnerable that is in your household, then obviously your risk factor is higher. And so you would take that very much into consideration. We still have, as we know, we have a peak. We haven't found that where we are in that peak, and we have to figure out for ourselves. We have an incredible team of public health. The mayor and I really rely on their guidance and their direction, and it helps us to make these decisions. We have said before, we allow public health to give us the directives, and then we try to minimize as much as we can with the economy. This one's a little different in that the economy has gotten more attention. As the mayor has mentioned, we've suffered equally in both ends. The economy is going through a very strong, difficult situation. So we still, our order is still effective until midnight on Friday. So we still encourage at this time, and going further, we encourage that people use masks. We do encourage, obviously, employees. It's mandated that all employees, whether it was the essential, the ready-to-go retail, or the new 25%, we want people that are working in those businesses to be prudent, the hand washing, the using of the mask, and everything else that's possible to make sure that you feel good about being in that environment. And we are asking to minimize contact. I think it's the mayor and I have talked a lot about the spirit of the order. When we had the stay at home, that sort of was the essential basis, right? Stay at home. If it's not essential, then it's better to stay home. I think what we're looking at now more than anything is that we do try our best as the spirit of the order is to not be in contact with individuals who are not a part of your household. And so that would give you an indication that would allow you to understand whether or not you're taking any risk for you and your family. I'll give you an example. There's a lot of businesses that feel that they're not ready, and they're very conscientious of the numbers. I'll give you probably my best example is I had a discussion with Bishop Seitz, and he has decided not to go forth and open the churches. One, he's very concerned about the numbers. He's very concerned as to whether they can have the right opportunities for individuals that go into the church, that he's got the hygiene aspect covered, that he's able to have the social distance. And so by looking at all of these different variables, then it allows you to make that decision. And this is really all about individual decisions. And the mayor has said that, and I've said that before, is that the worst thing that could happen to us is that we have to retract. It's better to go smoothly, organically forward than having to have the numbers increase on us again, and then we have to back off. And that's very, very difficult for a community to go forward and then backwards. So we are asking our community to please be prudent, take the right steps, make the right decisions, think about your family, and then make that decision. With respect specifically to us in the county, we are going to open Escárate, which means that kayaking will be permitted. We are not allowing any use of the equipment. The periphery of the parks is still open, as we had said before. Swimming pools will remain closed. Fishing is a perfect example of an opportunity where you have social distance, you can go by yourself, you can go with your family, you can enjoy. That to us is a great opportunity for the community to see something that has been available for a long time there at Escárate, but now you can take advantage of it because it allows you to be within that framework of being prudent. Picnic areas, of course, will be closed. And we have single play handballs that are allowed there, and no large gatherings. Golfing is allowed at Escárate. And just finally, the notion of large gatherings, that really is going to be at your discretion, but we are really discouraging people getting together in large groups and not being able to respect the social distance. So once again, I thank you. The mayor and I are extremely pleased with a reaction from the community. We understand that your economy, we get a lot of calls and people find a little bit of desperation, but I think everybody realizes that that balance is critical, the balance between public health and our economy. So once again, on behalf of the mayor and myself, we thank you. Be prudent, be safe. Let's get El Paso going in the right direction.
Thank you, Judge. I'm now going to ask Dr. Ocaranza to please turn on his camera and provide any additional updates.
As mentioned by Mayor Margot, with heavy heart, we are reporting 2 new deaths to our accounts. Male in his 50s with underlying medical conditions, and also a female in her 70s with underlying medical conditions. Our count continues going up, now a total of 857, and we're keeping a close eye on all the hospitalized and particular attention to those in the ICU and in a ventilator. Looking at the deaths, we have a vast majority of males. 12 males have been reported death compared to 2 only females. And so on the testing, we have conducted in El Paso approximately 8,400 tests on the PCR testing. We will continue keeping an eye on the severity of the disease in our community as we open up for the economic recovery. And as Mayor Margo and Judge Samaniego said, it is a balance between the health and the economy. And we want to continue encouraging our community to stay at home if they don't need to go out. If they need to go out, continue wearing their face covering and just doing the essential activities outside. Large gatherings are discouraged, and we have seen that remaining at home is our best line of defense against the spread of the virus. We will continue monitoring the situation up to now, and hopefully slowly but balancing the economic and the public health, we will continue reopening our city and county and continue stimulating the economy.